which he's sort of like the Professor Higgins of the film, trying to teach Tony the Lip, who is sort of the Eliza Doolittle, on how to speak in the film at the
There you
end.
go.
Hashtag my fair lady.
Wow.
I am a lady, I am.
Man, and why you gotta bust my chops every time I speak like this? You know, if it's
Is that why Vigo's accent was so bad?
no,
Yeah.
It really wasn't that bad.
It was
pretty bad.
authentic.
It really wasn't that bad.
As authentic as
No,
Chef
trying to-
Boyardee.
Tell us.
I was gonna think. Are you trying to think of something inauthentic? Is that the goal?
Chef Boyardee. Yeah.
Now to the next category, Best Supporting Actress. These 5 ladies, and the nominees are Amy Adams for Vice, Marina Di Tavira for Roma, Regina King for If Beale Street Could Talk, and the 2 ladies for The Favorite, Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz.
Rachel Weisz. I'm sorry.
same.
I'm sorry. She was beyond phenomenal. Also, she's been gone for way too long, and I've been waiting for her to like come back and do something just really amazing, and she did, and oh my God, it was fabulous. She's just fabulous. She deserves this. I don't care what anyone says.
I really wanted you to get there first this time. So I was like,
Thank you so much for waiting patiently, Gary.
yes.
This is what happens when you put 2 Leos in a room.
That's right.
3.
Three.
Well, you're a nice Leo.
whole
We're
center.
mean
Ah,
Leos.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna go with that. I like that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm also going Rachel. Actually, kind of the same reasons. I've been missing her, and I think, however, this is what I want to know going forward. Are we submitting our favorites or who we think is going to win?
Who we think is going to win?
Okay, I don't think it's going to be Rachel then.
Me neither.
Because I think I don't know if either of those performances would stand out against each other
Well, plus
enough for the
they
Academy to
tend-
notice.
It almost always tends to knock each other out. when you have
Absolutely.
two people in
I've
the
seen
same
all
film.
of that, Eve.
Yeah.
I know.
Unless it's like a runaway film, like an Amadeus, where you have like F. Murray Abraham and Tom Hulce together, but like one part is clearly above, and that was for leading. I think if it goes to either of them, it's Rachel Weisz. Like she's got the
Sure.
showier part, the meatier, more substantial thing. But I could totally see them splitting the vote, and especially because this is a tough race. You have Amy Adams, who's been nominated a bunch of times, but Regina King, like that's where I put
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
money
I would.
down.
My guess is Regina King because Amy Adams, that part is just not.
Yeah, again, like Sam Rockwell.
She does a fine job, like Sam Rockwell, and she's very convincing and good at it. It's just not an Academy Award
Right.
showy part. You know.
I'm going Regina King if Beale Street Could Talk. I think a lot of the emotional depth that her character had in this film is what, honest to God, to me, made the film. I think her fight for her son-in-law, trying to be freed from jail, and trying to help her daughter with her the pending birth of her first child and everything. It was so convincing. It was so raw, so emotional, so gritty. I really enjoyed Regina King in this entire film. So I think definitely, hands down, I think she's going to walk away Oscar night. She was snubbed by SAG. She was snubbed by BAFTA. So let's hope the
There's
Oscars.
been a lot of strange
Yeah.
disconnects between the different awards groups this year.
Well, I think that's because this year, ultimately, and I'll talk about it at Best Picture, this just hasn't been...
So
There's
no runaways, yeah.
runaway.
Not even runaways, just like some of these movies are just like, okay. Like
Yeah,
in
they're
other
good,
years, in other
solid
years we
movies.
wouldn't be talking about that.
Right.
Right.
Just good, solid
Yeah.
movies.
All right, now to the 5 leading men. Nominees for Best. Well, you have a future vice president, a country music star, a world-renowned painter, the music impresario who is eccentric and original, and a driver who learns about race, music, and good food on a journey through Jim Crow South. Now the nominees for Best Lead Actor are Christian Bale for Vice, Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born, Willem Dafoe for At Eternity's Gate, Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody, and Viggo Mortensen for Green Book.
Rami Malek, I'm just gonna say it. Like, not even just because I also just adore him as an actor. He's done a lot of really diverse and great things. But also just the popularity of the movie itself, how well he really put himself into that role. And like, that's not easy. He took on like a very strong, independent person as a character, and he did so much justice to
And
him.
just working with those teeth alone. Oh my God.
That
was
too.
unbelievable.
But yeah, just like the physical changes and like how it just it was so brilliant. He's just so good. Stop
The
laughing at
teeth
the
was
teeth.
funny. It was funny.
I have to. Yeah, I did like Rami Malek's performance, especially my favorite scene. There's only room for one hysterical queen. You know, when that scene when he was about to like throw the toaster oven.
Yeah.
He's
But
amazing.
He was, and he looked dead on like Freddie Mercury from a distance. And it was. It's scary. But how about you guys?
Well, for me, I think Willem Dafoe has no shot at all because I think people thought they were voting for Ethan Hawke and just like got it wrong.
Shade. Shade.
Ouch.
So I don't think he's. Don't think people even saw that film too much. I certainly didn't.
No.
Melanie, did you?
I did not.
So there you go.
I thought it was coming out next year because I saw a trailer for it.
So of the performances, I mean, I think it's in terms of likely winners, it's between Rami Malek and Christian Bale, because Christian Bale does a great Christian Bale transformation into an historical character, capturing him in a way that transcends makeup and voice and really captures the essence of the person in a really complicated way. Rami Malek did the same thing, though. He kind of did a Christian Bale with Freddie Mercury. It's a transformation.
Right.
You don't see the line where Rami Malek ends and Freddie Mercury begins. And I thought he did an awfully good job with nuance with the character, because it's not necessarily a nuanced character, but he
isn't.
brought a lot of nuance to it. So I'm not even. It's hard. I'm guessing Christian Bale, but it could
Too
be
political.
either. It really could be a.
You think so?
But too political. But that would, if anything, the fact that it's so political might work
Right.
in his
Yeah.
favor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm thinking it's going to be Viggo Mortensen as Chef Boyardee in Green Book.
Do you really?
Tony the Lip.
I'm
was
actually
a
not
great-
impressed with any of the performances in this category. I think that it's definitely between Rami and Christian. However, you know, it's going to be Rami because the Oscars want to give it to him. They love that sort of stuff. And he's a great actor in
Absolutely.
everything I've seen him in.
Yeah. He's
Right.
terrific.
So, you know, I guess why not?
I was at first going to go with Christian Bale. Yeah, because it reminded me last year of Gary Oldman in Darkest Hour. Same intonation, same tone, same, basically speaking style. He basically became Dick Cheney. It was frightening, in fact, and especially the one scene where he broke the fourth wall and basically told to the people, "I saved your very lives. I did
Yeah,
what
he
was
went
needed
all
to be
a few good
done."
men on us.
And exactly, it was like Jack Nicholson with Gary Oldman in this one role, and it was really outstanding. But I think the Academy goes Rami.
Absolutely.
I think, especially Freddie Mercury was probably one of the greatest, most creative rock stars of our time. When you think of him with Billy Joel and Elton John and John Lennon, there are certain people whose names last forever in the music world, and Freddie Mercury is that person.
Well, I think it's tough because the Oscars love actors who start pretending to be real people. Gary Oldman for Winston Churchill, Jamie Foxx for Ray Charles. So, like, you have both of them. You have a musician and you have a politician. What I look for in, like, a true film performance is that, like, over the course of Vice, Christian Bale changed with Dick Cheney. Like, once Rami Malek established his Freddie Mercury, it was the same Freddie Mercury the whole movie. Layered, nuanced, yes, but like Christian Bale, you watched him young. He aged with it, where I didn't see that age with Rami Malek. I also think that's up to the screenplay. I think the screenplay definitely served Christian Bale better by giving it more to do, whereas Bohemian Rhapsody was definitely... I don't think Bohemian Rhapsody came out to be like an award film, which is cool. I like that it didn't try, because I hate movies that try, but I think it was just trying to be an entertaining movie for Queen fans, and somewhere along the lines the critics kind of just gravitated toward it. And maybe that's because the movie has been in development for so many years. Like, when I first heard about it, I was in high school, and they were talking about
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Sacha Baron
Oh,
Cohen.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
And he would have been great. He looks just like him, and he can sing like.
He wouldn't have to do much. Yeah, all you have to do is just grow the mustache,
Yeah.
and that's it. He basically would become Freddie Mercury. But there was a scheduling conflict, I believe it was, and
The Queen, the members of Queen didn't like their portrayal in the movie. Thought it focused too much on Freddie Mercury, so they got over it, I guess, because money talks.
But that's the other thing. In that movie, you had to appease the members of Queen, whereas they couldn't care less in Vice what
Right.
anybody thought of what they were doing. Obviously, otherwise would not have looked like that.
So for my thoughts and just the way it's been working out, because Christian Bale and Rami Malek have both been winning, I think I go towards Christian Bale, just for the fact that he was able to show a lot more than just a really good embodiment of a character. He was able to really stretch his acting chops in a way that Rami could, but I don't think the movie allowed him to, if that makes sense.
And we're guaranteed in this category to have a first-time lead actor winner, as well as in this next category. So these 5 women, they made for an upper-middle-class family in Mexico City in 1971-72, dealing with the impending birth of her child while political situations escalate around her. The wife of a Nobel Prize-winning laureate, an eccentric mad queen, basically letting 2 women fight for her favoritism. An up-and-coming pop star, and of course, the world's foremost forger of documents from famous authors and poets. The nominees for Best Lead Actress are Yalitza Aparicio for Roma, Glenn Close for The Wife, Olivia Colman for The Favorite, Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born, and Melissa McCarthy for Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Keith,
Also another weak category, I'd say. No, imagine. No.
This is
This is a
definitely
hot
this
race.
is the strongest race.
Yeah, this is the
wild.
most exciting,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
It's a
a
three-way
tie.
race.
It's a tie.
Oh, you think it's a 3-way race?
I think so too. Yeah.
I hope not.
I think it's where are you going with this, Melanie?
I'm going with Lady Gaga because I think popular culture would absolutely throw a hissy fit if she didn't. Also, she was phenomenal. Like, she's just so great. And the fact that she went from this, like, out of control, eccentric pop star to this really, like, wonderfully down to earth actress is incredible to me. Like, there's almost nothing she can't do. And, like, I understand the beginning of her career kind of was her own persona. Like, she was acting in the beginning too, but I think that also just lends itself to she's a very talented woman, and I think she's earned it, and I think the Academy would absolutely give it to her.
I think this year, I think it's going to Glenn Close for The Wife. The reason why, one, sentimentality for sure, because this is her 7th time nominee. She has never won. The first 3, she was a supporting actress nominee. Then the last 3, she was a lead actress. In one year, she actually lost to Jodie Foster for The Accused. She lost to Jessica Lange for another year. And most recently, for Albert Nobbs, she lost to Meryl Streep when she was...
And she was playing a man in that one.
Yeah.
Like, that's a guaranteed Oscar right there.
Only for
Is
men
it?
playing
That's
women,
true.
not the other way around.
So, and not only that, this is a character right up her alley because, as she mentioned when she won the Golden Globes, that she watched her mother, put her career and everything in life before her and her happiness, for her family, her children, and she never spoke up. So for her, she was almost sort of like a letter to her mother in a sense. And she portrayed it so truthfully. And I think this year, I think the Academy will give it to her. And look what happened at SAG. The majority of the Oscar voters are actors of the 17 different branches. And since Glenn won the SAG Awards, I think she's going to definitely win the Oscars.
I think something to note, the Academy Awards love giving like a lifetime achievement for an acting, like John Wayne for True Grit. John Wayne's given at least 5 or 6 performances that were better than that.
Oh, yeah.
Glenn Close is the person alive right now with the most nominations without a win. I think the all-time record is Peter O'Toole with 8, and this is Glenn Close's 7th.
Yep.
So she can wait another
So I
year.
see that.
She'll be alive next year, hopefully.
Yeah.
That being
This will
said,
keep her alive.
The Wife 2,
Electric
Armed and
Boogaloo.
Fabulous.
Armed and Fabulous, yes. That being
Mamma
said,
Mia 3. She can sing.
That being said, I love Lady Gaga. Going the way of Cher, winning an Oscar out of nowhere, first time. That would be really cool. They tied at the Critics' Choice Awards.
This could be another tie.
Could they tie this year?
1968,
Yeah.
like Barbara Streisand and Katharine Hepburn.
But it makes so much
that would
sense.
be so
They
cool.
would
Yeah.
not.
I would
19-
love
happened.
it.
1968, you had a pop singer, or as pop as Streisand
Yes.
is, and a classical critics
Movie
darling,
star, yeah.
Katharine Hepburn, and they tied for The Lion in Winter and Funny Girl. It could happen.
Absolutely.
That
could.
would be
What was the
fun.
last
I
tie?
would
Didn't
scream.
Best Song get tied?
It was some
Like,
nonsense.
yeah.
Something not interesting.
Well, sort of
no,
La La
seriously.
Land
Otherwise
and
we'd remember.
Moonlight.
That's the first thing I was thinking of. Was when La La Land won but didn't.
Yeah, but then,
But dark horse now, because if people are voting for Glenn Close and Lady Gaga, Olivia Colman can just...
I realized as we were speaking what you guys were saying, the
Yeah.
three-way tie. Yes, you know what? I wouldn't be upset if she won. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think this was a really great category.
But
No,
great,
but-
great.
one of the things Academy Awards
Uh-huh.
sometimes do the big surprise. The woman who
Don't
was not an actress.
say it.
Oh,
Don't.
it better not
even
be her.
Think it.
I better not be
I
Said
know where
two
you're going
people
with
who
this.
haven't seen Roma.
Julita Aparicio. This was actually her first role. She never had any formal acting training. In fact, she was a licensed
The entire
teacher.
cast was not. They
Oh,
were
yeah.
all amateur actors.
That's and
And just being nominated is lovely
Good
enough.
for her.
I'm not saying
So-
she should get it. I'm just saying every once in a while,
But
like
if they-
Harold Russell is
It's-
another example of that.
if they
Harold
did
Russell,
that,
the guy
it would
from
be a
the
play.
Best Years of Our Lives, the guy he was playing the person who had no hand. He actually had his hand. He
Hooks,
lost
yeah.
his hooks for hands from World War II. They gave him a special Oscar because they didn't think he was going to win Best Supporting Actor, and he won Best Supporting Actor. So he's the only actor the only
And he
person in history
earned it.
to get 2 Oscars
earn
for the
that,
same role. But it was the same thing. They were so sure he wasn't going to win. It was an absolute
No.
lock that they actually gave him a special Oscar.
This
No.
category is so exciting. I really
That's
can't
why I
wait.
think it's
I'm
really
so
exciting.
sorry, Melissa McCarthy.
Oh, yeah.
You are
just no one even mentioned her.
You are just falling by
Because
the
Glenn
wayside.
Close is
Yeah, like,
fantastic in that film.
Absolutely.
In
She must have been.
She
Yeah.
is.
I mean, that's
wonderful.
another one of
Really
those
wonderful.
movies where just no one saw it.
But
and
I
say,
think
oh.
that speaks a lot to how great this category
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that a woman like Melissa McCarthy in a movie that's actually very great and gritty and wonderful is kind of fallen by the wayside because it's just not the most interesting compared to the other
And
four.
Lady Gaga's got that thing going for her where brings an audience to the Oscars. She brings an audience to the movies. So sometimes there's an Oscar where you get like, welcome to the community. Please stay here because we need your fans.
I hope that's
Type of
this
thing.
year.
Yeah.
And that could be as well.
But she's going to win Best Original Song. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind
Oh, yeah.
of...
In fact, at the Grammys, I think they're probably going to take Song of the Year, basically, I think, for Shallow, and maybe Album of the Year, too, or some of the other categories that they're... But I know for sure, at the Oscars, her and Mark Ronson are going to win Best Song. But I think, Glenn Close ultimately takes the prize, but they should all congratulate themselves for getting here.
Actually, they really should.
I think they've been acting that way. I mean, when Lady Gaga and
Oh.
Glenn Close, like that wasn't... Oh, that must have just buttered your egg roll.
My
You were-
biscuits are so
Yeah.
buttered every time I see them together.
They love each other.
Yeah.
They're like hugging. And so.
Fade in, close up, panels, different directions, close.
Glenn
Angle
Close.
cameras, all different techniques and styles that directors have, whether it's black and white, color. These 5 gentlemen are nominated for Best Director, and they are Spike Lee for Black Klansman, Paweł Pawlikowski for Cold War, Yorgos Lanthimos for The Favorite, Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, and Adam McKay for Vice. Ooh, this really, I think this is honestly one man, but which one man could it be?
It's not going to be a 5-way tie?
Steven Spielberg, Ready Player One. Having seen Cold War,
I actually recently saw it. It's a black and white film just like Roma, in subtitles too, mostly in Polish and French. It's about the post-World War period in Poland where this would-be musician tries to escape communist-occupied Poland because the fact that his music is being used for propaganda for Joseph Stalin, and he, at the same time trying to maintain a relationship with a very cold-hearted at times, but yet practical woman that's in the company too. When you see it, that's why it's called Cold War, not just the actual period in history, but the Cold War between these two.
Keith, I didn't know you sold your book rights.
such a shame it won't
Mine
win.
is Cold War II, Electric Boogaloo.
What was the last movie to be nominated for Best Director without a Best Picture nomination? Because especially now, like you can nominate 10 movies for Best Picture, and somehow Cold War didn't.
Right. That's really interesting.
I mean, obviously it's a foreign film. Foreign
And
movies
they
are
had
so
two
rarely-
in reserve that they didn't bother to use it. They had 10 slots and only 8 nominations.
How about Bradley Cooper?
Listen, it was nominated for Best Picture. It didn't direct itself. That's
Right.
what I would say
No,
for that.
for sure. But I think
Yeah.
for director, when I think director, I think you need a style, like a Damien Chazelle, or there needs to be something that only this person could have done it.
Right, but that doesn't
Just
necessarily
because
mean
he was
their
the
vision is
one
good.
person in the room looking at Lady Gaga when the other 99 weren't.
So Spike Lee, right, is our answer.
No.
Well,
you know.
he's
That's what you said.
Oh, your answer. I thought you meant the room's answer.
I'm thinking it's going to go to Spike Lee this year of all years, especially.
well, it's very much also like we already gave him an honorary Oscar.
Right.
It really would be embarrassing not to give him an Oscar at this point. Although I have to say, to me, Roma, the Cuarón, Roma is a masterpiece. It
can't
really
believe this.
is.
You're like the only
I've
one who
only
thinks
heard
that.
bad things.
Watch
So-
it again.
I didn't watch it once. So
Watch it
Watch it again. watch
Watch it
once.
and then watch it again.
if you say so.
It's a masterpiece.
It's-
It's stunning.
I don't love it as much as he did. I have the problem with it's boring. For
How
me, at
can
least.
how can anyone be nominated for best director when the movie is boring?
You can still watch it and see the beauty of it, and like it's truly his vision. It's gorgeous. Just to me, they lost me in the first 25 minutes. It does pick up, but the first 25 minutes for me is why like I'm not going to be saying it's best picture, because to me, best picture has to be excellent from beginning to end. But it's gorgeous. It takes the mundane, it takes the dirty, and it makes it something beautiful. And while I don't think it's going to win Best Picture, I could see them doing something where they give Damien Chazelle the Oscar for La La Land, but they give Barry Jenkins, Best Picture. I could see that totally happening.
Or maybe. We're not quite sure.
Well, that's the
Right.
only other thing that I would say makes me leery is the fact that Roma's nominated for so much, and it is such a unique instance and an underdog. It's got to win something.
Yeah.
I don't want it to,
Well,
but it must.
Why, you haven't seen it? How could you possibly hate it?
Because
without
if
watching it?
if 99 people in a
subtitles.
room tell me it's boring and you're the one that
But you
doesn't,
just need the one.
Yeah.
The one thing Roma has going for it is the cinematography. I think
incredible cinematography.
That's the one thing is the landscapes that they had in certain shots in the film were great. The fact that it felt like there was no director in the room as well, when you're those panel shots. Other than that, the first few minutes of the film definitely lost me. Soap and water, soap and water, soap and water.
Yeah, but
and
but see, that to me, that's the whole notion. That's part of the genius of the film is you start out in these routines of what this woman's life is like, and then you see how much she's really involved in life, and she's actually the parent for the kids, and she's actually taking care of the wife when she comes home drunk, and she's also responsible for cleaning up the dog poop that's left in the driveway.
Yep.
And then as the film progresses, more and more dramatic things happen until a climax on the beach that's just extraordinary. It's incredibly filmed, and you kind of hold your breath through it. It's if you've made it through that far, there's a reward for watching the beginning when it's not exciting, and turning off the light, putting down your phone, getting offline, and just watching a film in aspect ratio. It's